Hi guys, this is Felicia DeRozier. I am your oil pro, and I'm actually getting on here today to discuss with you something that I have heard a lot about and seems to be very important to people, and that is doTERRA's new oil. And I've got it right here. It's called Copaiba. It's a brand new oil from doTERRA. We love it. But there's a little bit of confusion and people are trying to figure out what it's for, what it's all about, why do we care? And so I decided to come on here and give you guys as brief of a rundown as possible. So I would say just for those of you who may not know me, I'm really knowledgeable where essential oils are concerned. I've been using them with my family for over 5 years, and we really love essential oils here. I am familiar with essential oils, but I'm not a chemist, I'm not a biologist, and I'm not a doctor. So take what I'm saying with a grain of salt, because I'm really going to be trying to take some very complex systems and different things and try to simplify them down to where those of us who are part of the general public can understand a little bit better and hopefully dispel some of the confusion. So the big deal with the Copaiba oil and what has everyone excited is the term cannabinoid. People get really excited. So for those of you who don't know, cannabinoids have been heavily researched really only in the last, I would say, 20 years, ever since the big push for legalization of marijuana came into play. So the reason why is that they were trying to be able to explain the positive effects that could potentially come from a medical use of marijuana through the body systems. And while trying to explain these phenomenon, they have discovered a body system that we really didn't even have knowledge of when I was going through high school biology. So I'll tell you how old I am. That's the Endocannibanoid System. So the Endocannibanoid System is a system of receptors that are scattered throughout the body, and they are located on the cell membranes of different cells. There's two different kinds that have been identified so far, the CB1 receptors and CB2 receptors. I'm just going to try to make it as simple as possible. Basically, these receptors allow cells to regulate balance or harmony from the inside environment of the cell to the outside environment of the cell, if that makes sense. So this can affect all sorts of things in the body, all different systems in the body. And so the two that they've identified are CB1 receptors and CB2 receptors. CB1 receptors are primarily located in the brain and the brainstem. Although they're located everywhere, but you'll find the highest concentration in the brain and the brainstem. So they have strong neurological impact. CB2 receptors are located everywhere, but there's a lot higher frequency of location in the digestive tract, especially lower end digestive tract. Also, you'll see a lot of it in the immune system. Think where stem cells are being programmed, and in the blood system where white blood cells are being created. Okay, so you can understand the impact that is there. So that brings me to what the big deal has been, is that a lot of people have been excited about something called CBD oil, which is a it's not an essential oil. So let's start this way. I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to do a great direct comparison between CBD oil and the Copaiba, because they really can't be compared. CBD oil is not an oil. It is an oil extract. It's not an essential oil. It's an oil extract. The process is totally different, and it is a whole plant oil extract. So they extract it from cannabis. And because it's extracted from cannabis, you'll find two different oil, or two different chemical components in that oil. And so I'm going to share them with you to my best extent. Don't make fun of me if I say it wrong. But they've got cannabidiol and that's obviously where the CBD part comes in, okay? Cannabidiol does interact with the cannabinoid system, but it does so in an indirect way. It doesn't actually it doesn't actually adhere to the receptors. I believe that it goes through the endocrine system, but don't quote me on that because I'm not entirely sure. I'm not an expert where that's concerned, okay? Because that's not what I'm selling. So, and then there's the tetrahydrocannabinol, and that's THC. I think most people are familiar with THC. In many states, it's a controlled substance. I happen to live in a state where it's not. I live in Las Vegas, Nevada, so here you can actually use marijuana for medical and recreational purposes. So THC actually does directly interact with the cannabinoid system, but it interacts with CB1 receptors, which are the ones that I said were located in the brain and the brain stem primarily. And that is what's responsible for giving you the high that's associated with marijuana use. Now, because CBD oil is an extract in its whole plant, you basically cannot source it without having some presence of THC. However, that presence in a high-grade cannabis oil would be really, really slight. I have seen it as low as 0.03%, which is obviously not going to make you high. So that's why you have a lot of CBD oils that are available on the market. They are legal in every state to my knowledge. And that is why you will find that they're being marketed is because it's very, very low in THC. The reason why it's low in THC predominantly is because they are growing that plant specifically to have high levels of CBD and low levels of THC. Okay? So that's just to kind of give you a brief overview. This is why people are so excited, because a lot of people are having trouble getting a hold of high quality CBD oil. I do not recommend going to your neighbor who grows his own plants. And I mean, I don't know if that's the situation you guys have where you're from, but that's the situation we have where we're from. Don't go to your neighbor who grows his own plants and be like, hey, can you extract the oil for me? Like, it's not going to be the same quality. It's not going to be therapeutic quality. There's probably a higher level of THC in that than you really want. And depending on the source, obviously, if there's THC in it, you have to make your own decision as to whether or not you're going to use that, whether or not it's going to show up on a blood test. Obviously, very low level THC probably will not, but I'm not going to guarantee anything, and I don't sell that, so I don't care. So, okay, so now that we've explained all that, I want to tell you about this particular oil here. This is called Copaiba, okay? Copaiba is an essential oil, okay? And it is a resin oil that comes from a tree, and it's extracted. And so, of course, there's no THC in Copaiba at all. It's actually an entirely different chemical, and it's a little hard for me to pronounce, so I'm going to try. It's the beta-carotene is what it's called, and that's the cannabinoid. It's a sesquiterpene that's actually available inside this essential oil, okay? And what's cool about the beta-carotene is that it doesn't interact with the CB1 receptors at all. In fact, there's nothing in that essential oil that will react with the CB1 receptors in the slightest. The other really cool thing is that, from my understanding, CBD actually has an indirect impact on the endocannabinoid system, where the Copaiba will have a more direct effect. It actually adheres to the receptors, and so it has a stronger impact in more ways, from what I understand. And again, everyone's body is a little bit different, so like don't like tell me I'm crazy if I think that, you know, we're just getting this oil and we're just learning about it. But that's basically what's happening. Now, let me tell you a little bit about the CB2 receptors, because earlier on I just kind of glossed over that, and I want to give you an idea of where you find them. They're expressed in the immune system and hematopoietic, so we're talking like stem cells for blood. So this is the area where the stem cells for the blood create what kind of cells are going to be created. So think the T cells versus the B cells. It's going to create more cells to target cells that need to die. That, you know, so if they need to go to the through apoptosis, that's how it's going to happen. Okay, so specifically T cells, which are the white blood cells, keratinocyte cells, which are the outer layer of the skin. Okay, so think anything that's going on the outside of the skin, this is going to be very beneficial too as well, right? Because it's going to directly interact with the CB2 receptors. So it's also going to work with the I can't say it, microphagy. Is that it? Microphagy. And they ingest cellular debris, foreign substances, and also cells that are going through cellular death and need to be destroyed. And so they also are very good. There's pain relieving receptors there. So think about this for occasional pain. This is going to be really, really good. I used it for my headache the other day, and it was very, very effective. And I have used CBD oil before, and I mean, I can't make a direct comparison because every headache is different, so I'd have to use it long term to tell you. But I will say it was very effective. I didn't have to take anything else, which is fabulous. Whenever I have like a really bad head tension issue and I don't have to take something else, kudos. I'm super excited about that, right? So it can also affect the brain and spinal cord and immune response, and it's strongly anti-inflammatory. So the anti-inflammatory part and this immune response part are things that really, really interested me. I mean, it has all sorts of other properties. It's antioxidant, helps with the liver health. It's good for supporting the liver. Obviously for your cardiovascular health, it's very supportive to that. And also to respiratory function, it's very, very supportive to that. But the things that particularly interested me were the immune response, because what's great about it is that the CB2 receptors are specifically in the body to help regulate appropriate response. It's so, you know, the way we think of things that we normally would take are either to boost a production or to decrease a production in our body system. And this is actually just helping to bring it into homeostasis, and it's trying to bring it into a place where it is producing things at the correct rate as opposed to a higher or lower rate. I think this is particularly good for immune support for people who have tricky issues with their immune system. Maybe their immune system isn't functioning quite right, and to boost the immune system could actually be damaging or dangerous to the immune system. This is going to be a really great help because it's going to help the body to regulate itself as far as the immune system is concerned, and it's going to help support a proper immune response. This is also really great why the inflammation issue is a big deal, because most of the time when we're dealing with issues that keep coming up, think particularly digestive issues, think about heart issues, the support of those things really has to boil down to proper inflammation response. The way that the body tries to heal itself is there's an inflammatory response, and then the immune system targets that area and starts to work in that area in order to provide optimal health. So if this essential oil can help with the proper functioning of inflammation support, then you're going to have a much easier time trying to get it to help your body to become stronger, faster, more naturally. So basically, in a nutshell, what I'm saying is this is going to be a great oil for you. You're going to love it. I really think everyone should be having this every day. Like, it's a fantastic, like, amazing oil. Love the immune response support. I love the fact that it's going to help with inflammation, which is going to be one of the key factors with a lot of the issues that we're dealing with consistently. And I love the fact that it has direct impact on so many different systems. So this is going to be a really good one for optimal health. And I hope that that has helped to clear up the difference. We've already used quite a bit of this for pain relief. My daughter, we thought that she broke her arm. Ends up that she didn't. She just sprained it. We did use some Copaiba on it. It was great dealing with the inflammation, brought it down really well. I used it for head tension. I had a friend who used it as well at my house, and she really enjoyed it. But things I look forward to using it for is digestive issues, and then again, really, really excited about looking at the immune response issues, and of course the fact that it's going to help to produce more T cells, which will help to target and more the microphagy, which are going to help to target bad cells, so that you can start the destruction of those cells, which is something that your body naturally does, but it will help to undergird this process with the immune system. So very, very excited about the different things that I feel that Copaiba will be good at. Of course, I just got the oil just like you did, but I highly recommend it. I've had some really good experience already in the last week and a half that I've had it. But that's kind of the lowdown. You can't necessarily compare CBD oil, which is a whole plant oil extract from marijuana, with Copaiba, which is a resin essential oil. They're very different in structure. They're going to be different in behavior. But they are both going to, basically the reason why there's confusion is because they both operate within this Endocannibanoid system, and very few people are familiar with it because unless you've just recently studied medicine or the human body, you're probably never going to have heard about that. And so, you know, there we go. We just wanted to spell some of the confusion there. We know what it's about now. They're two totally different products. They do target the same system, and the cool thing about the system is that it's an overall total body system that's going to be helpful in many, many, many different ways. So I hope that you find that very helpful in understanding how you can use Copaiba. Cool things about Copaiba is that you can use it internally, you can use it topically, and of course you can use it aromatically. I love using certain essential oils. Oops, sorry. I love using certain essential oils aromatically because sometimes that can be very, very helpful. So I would think, you know, I mean, if I'm dealing with head tension, I didn't use it aromatically the last time I put it under my tongue, but that would have been a great option, is just to put it in a diffuser and lay down next to it. That's always really, really just wonderful and soothing. Totally, you can use it topically. We used it topically for Caitlin. My friend used it topically at my house. It's a great topical essential oil. As far as the smell is concerned, it's earthy and woody. I find it quite pleasant, but I do like my earthy smells. Earthies are my favorite. So, you know, think of me. I love balance. That's one of my favorites. Love frankincense. And this has a nice rounded woody aroma, and it's not spicy like frankincense is. It's got a very nice smooth aroma. Not quite sandalwood. That's a little bit more woody. Somewhere in between frankincense and sandalwood, I would say. But it's lovely. Very, very lovely. Smells good, feels good on the skin. I would definitely use this for all different kinds of purposes. I think it's a great oil. Totally get it. Comes in at a really nice price point. I want to say it was $35 wholesale, somewhere in the neighborhood of $46 retail. If you don't have an account, let me know. I'd be happy to figure out how we can get that ordered for you. If you do have an account, fantastic. Put that on your order for sure. It's available right now with doTERRA. And there you have it. Copaiba oil. Go get some today. Talk to you later. Bye now.